If everyone in the room would please check, we have a Jeep key, an extra one. So if anyone's missing one, please let us know.
Um, 92 we're on.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to get started once again. If staff would, actually, we're going to take cards first. We have 92.
We're on 92 first, which is the Bloody Grant.
Presentation if you would just like a recommendation on the awards.
No, it's the bottom of D.
D12. Got it.
Did you make the motion?
I did.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
See,
I do want to make a comment afterwards.
please see that the motion carries 6-0. Go ahead, Commissioner Flores.
So when Mr. Pilowitz met with me regarding this agenda item, he mentioned there were some leftover dollars regarding the award. I would love to open it up again. I don't know exactly when, but make it available out to the community to utilize the remaining funds of this particular, is it a grant? Yeah, grant.
We can actually, board direction, if you'd like us to. We'll put it back out for another round of applications.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will do.
One sec, could we get some clarification on the deadline for the new, for the second round?
I don't know. I think we put it out immediately and give them a month. Is that
A
good?
month?
30 days? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there another question? Commissioner Powell?
Absolutely. Can we make sure we see that so that if there are municipalities that we can help to encourage or agencies we can help to persuade to apply, we have that ability?
Yes, is that, can you make sure that the commissioner's offices are on the distribution?
Yeah, right now we add your aides, your assistants to the email, but we can add you directly.
Thank you. And yes, we're going to do cards first.
For 9E1, we have 8 cards. Linda Smith, Alex Larson, Gail Ladd.
Good afternoon again. Linda Smith, still in Jupiter, Florida. Still with the Sierra Club Waxahachie Group, but I'm also representing the Sierra Club National, which is 3.5 million members and supporters. I'm discussing a
Ms. Smith,
national.
Hold on one
Could
second.
you hold on 1 second, please?
I got a
Thank
green
you.
light.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm still Linda Smith, and I'm still from Jupiter, and I'm representing Sierra Club, and specifically Sierra Club National's policy of 3.5 million members and supporters, and they are against incineration. But they also understand landfilling is not the end-all solution. So what is the problem? I think you guys are solving for the wrong problem. The problem is we have too much waste. You commissioners have a bunch of problems to solve, and I really respect you guys for it. You serve as commissioners, and then you serve on this board, and my God, your calendars are all exploding. You are familiar with the expression, you can have it fast, you can have it soon, you can have it cheap. But you can only get 2 out of those 3 things at one time. An incinerator gets it to you relatively soon, 2034. And you are proposing the state-of-the-art technology, and I appreciate you for that, but it ain't cheap. To discuss clearing the air about waste to energy, and I believe this came out of the Solid Waste Authority, but to be honest, I'm not sure. A couple of points about debunking the myths and misconceptions. Landfill with projected life expectancy through 2057. That is a problem. That probably keeps you up at night. That assumes we do nothing but continue down the same path. And if you sign a contract with the incinerator as a put or pay clause, then you might be right, because there's no incentive to reduce waste. Because if you reduce waste, you have to pay more for them to do nothing. Landfill space is scarce. If the sugar mine out in the agricultural area is 8,600 acres can be taken out of agriculture, surely we can find 330 acres not near the Everglades Reservoir. And, you know, I think sending the waste to Okeechobee is an option. There will be an increase in cost. It's a little bit further, but 1.5 billion over the proposed lifespan of this incinerator, which is, and I'm going to get the number wrong, 40 years, plus or minus? And I'll let you correct me. The authority diverts 80% of the waste as recycled or converted to electricity. As a previous lead consultant, I know that the United States Green Building Council does not consider incineration as a renewable energy source or recycling, except if it's outside the USA and for projects that have insufficient recycling infrastructure. We're still in the USA, and you can't say you do a good job recycling and still count it as recycling waste.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Sorry.
We do have two podiums. Who was up next?
Who's next? I think the question was who's next.
Oh. Ms. Larson, we always love hearing from you, if you would please.
Pardon me?
Please.
I think this is the worst thing we can do. I really do. We have to come up with ideas, but I think you could go out, and I said this before, I'm sure Dan remembers. You could go out to some 12-year-old kids, and they're going to come up with a better idea. Have a contest. How are we going to take care of our future? Because our parents and grandparents aren't doing a very good job. And go out to every school. Ask them. See what they come up with. I've always admired children because they don't know how to lie, and they just say what's on their mind. So I think you could do that. I think you could go out to every school in this county, maybe every school in the United States, and ask the kids, what do you want your future to be? And then say, this is our problem. List our problem. Garbage. And then how do we handle it? What do we do with it? Because zero waste ain't going to happen. Unless you line it up in your living room or your dining room, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that. And then we have incinerators and landfills. And it's always amazing. A friend of mine came down from Tallahassee during the last incinerator discussion years ago. And it was so funny because when he drove south, he goes, "What is that smell?" I said, "Well, that's the landfill." And he goes, "Well, why doesn't it smell to the north?" I said, "Well, they spray orange jasmine perfume there every night and make it smell all pretty." This is what we do. We cover things up. And we can't cover up anything anymore. It's just out of hand. Everything is, Commissioners. You already know that. I don't have to tell you. But there is a better way to do things. And there are some rocket scientists out there that are 12 years old right now. And I bet we could challenge them. They'll come up with something that we have not. Because I certainly don't want to see a drone carrying a trash can, because then it's going to fall on somebody's head. I mean, with every action, there's a reaction. That's the one thing we've had in this county since I've been here. And let me tell you, I don't like the constituents in the water. I don't like being told my water's compromised when there's 273 chemicals floating through the canals. It's sad, Commissioners. The poison is out there. Carol Strick died last week. She was a big fighter for the environment. She lived right down the street. She got pneumonia and died. And the one thing she hated was the incinerator, the smell, the whole shebang. And I figured I have to mention her because she's no longer here. And it was the saddest funeral I ever had to go to was Carol's. I did not want to do that because I loved her very much. I knew her for a long time. And she would be here today. She is here today because I'm talking for her. And she would tell you, don't do the incinerator. And I think everybody would tell you the same thing. Send out a card and ask your constituents.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. One sec. Let's make sure the mic is on.
Aha. Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Gail Ladd from Jupiter, Florida. I am with the Sierra Club Loxahatchee Group. And instead of trying to refute the claims we've heard about the benefits of a new incinerator, I would ask a few questions. If you lived in the vicinity of the incinerator or within 2.5 miles of the proposed location, as many people of color do, would you be in favor of the new incinerator? If you put this issue to a vote, would you be in favor of spending a minimum of $1.5 billion with a B added to your expenses, even if it's only maybe $20 or more? Would you be willing to take the chance that our environmental regulations will really keep us safe when we have leaders now trying to dismantle the EPA? Would you be willing to try to clean up our air by promoting commercial composting, recycling, reducing our waste? Many condominiums do not even encourage recycling. Would you listen to environmental groups like us in the Sierra Club and Beyond Burning who point out the possible dangers? Even though it would be easier to listen to people who want to sell you the proposed plans for a new incinerator, burning anything, especially garbage, is damaging our environment. Do we burn the plastic that's not recycled? Yes, landfills are not the ideal solution, but it is now the safest, and I like Alex's idea. Ask a 12-year-old. They have wonderful ideas, even if they're pie-in-the-sky ideas. They might be great. They might be the answer. What we need are people who will propose ways to reduce our waste, because, yes, we have too much. Other states and cities have done this. Why should we be one of the last? Why should we be adding to our air pollution? Please think about it, and let's be a leader towards zero waste. No, we can't get there maybe very soon, but at least let's try to get towards it. Refusing, reducing, and reusing cost individuals nothing. Zero waste is a set of policies and programs that other cities and counties have adopted, providing us with healthy, sustainable options, instead of going with what seems the easiest and the status quo. Thank you.
We have Alan Weston, Harry Lewin, and Mike Duff.
And one last time, I'm going to announce that we have a set of, it looks like rental Jeep keys, if anyone left them up front earlier. Oh. What kind of Jeep?
Of course, that burns gas. That makes pollution. Maybe we should stop it.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Weston. I'm the president of the Iron Horse Property Owners Association. I've lived in Iron Horse for 12 years and I've been president for 5. I appreciate the Solid Waste Authority taking the time to meet with myself and several of our board members this past Wednesday to discuss the Palm Beach County Solid Waste Authority's planned REF1R project and its impacts on the Iron Horse community. On behalf of the Iron Horse Property Owners Association, I want to express our community's request that the SWA board approve the proposed REF1 incinerator project to be built at the existing location of REF1 facility at the upcoming board meeting. The Solid Waste Authority has a long-standing record of managing waste responsibly, and the REF1R project represents an important step in maintaining reliable, efficient, and environmentally responsible waste management services for the Palm Beach County residents. We believe replacing the aging REF1 with a modern facility at the same site will minimize disruption, maintain continuity, and ensure the continued use of proven infrastructure for our community and Palm Beach County. Additionally, our association strongly supports the continuation of the policy that restricts waste processing to materials generated solely within Palm Beach County. This policy is vital in ensuring that our community's waste management resources remain dedicated to serving county residents and businesses without being burdened by out-of-county waste. The Iron Horse Property Owners Association appreciates the Solid Waste Authority commitment to sustainable efficiency and protecting the quality of life in Palm Beach County. We respectfully urge your continued support and approve the REF1 incinerator project under the conditions outlined above. Thank you for your consideration and for your continued service to the community.
Thank you.
Good morning. By way of introduction, my name is Harry Lewin. I've been a resident homeowner in Iron Horse since March 2020, and I serve as a director of the board and secretary of the Iron Horse Property Owners Association. Last Wednesday afternoon, along with my fellow board members, Alan Weston, our POA president, who you just met, Alan Gabord, our vice president, Clarence Williams, a director, and Chris Risk, our property manager, a meeting was held with Dan Pelowitz, Patrick Carroll, Romana Carey, and Nathan Mayer here at the SWA headquarters to discuss the REF1 project and its impacts on the Iron Horse community. As was indicated during those discussions, and as the Citizens Advisory Council concurred during its meeting held just prior to ours, Iron Horse respectfully requests that the REF1 be sited and constructed as far to the south as possible on the current site of REF1, specifically so as to minimize the visual impacts on Iron Horse and its residents. Equally, if not even more importantly, following those same discussions, Iron Horse also recognizes and appreciates that the authority has acknowledged it will do everything possible to eliminate any disruption to Iron Horse and its residents during the course of its project, whether that disruption comes in the form of any additional noise or nuisance resulting from the demolition and construction itself, any additional traffic along Jog Road in and out of the authority's facilities, any elevated levels of noxious odors emanating from the facility's operations, including but not limited to the increased amount of landfilling required while REF1 is offline. Specifically regarding the latter, the authority has indicated that it will further mitigate any and all noxious odors by transferring as much of the organic waste as possible off-site to another local facility for landfilling there. In furtherance of preserving the record, it is important to note that we were pleased by the assurances that the authority provided, indicating that the intended purpose of the REF1R project is neither in part nor in whole to accommodate any additional municipal solid waste which has been generated by either any public or private out-of-county waste producers, and that is inclusive of any waste which would be brought directly into the authority's Jog Road facility or trucked in from any off-site transfer stations by either any public or private waste haulers. Similarly, from our discussions, we are pleased that the authority has fully agreed to provide Iron Horse with regular and recurring updates via email, at least weekly at a minimum, as to both the status of its project and any and all ongoing and upcoming construction activities occurring at its Jog Road facility, so that we may keep our residents copiously informed. Furthermore, as discussed, we appreciate and look forward to the authority's assistance and cooperation in forming a coalition to engage with our elected officials, both at the local and state levels on matters which are directly related to this project, its facility, and in furtherance of our mutually agreed upon pledge to be good neighbors to one another. These matters include, but are certainly not limited to, items such as the poor traffic marking and routing at the Jog Road and Beeline Highway intersection, the habitually damaged and increasingly problematic CSX rail crossing, and the improvement, beautification, and continued maintenance of Jog Road from the authority's facility north of the Beeline Highway intersection. Iron Horse thanks the entire authority, along with its Citizens Advisory Council and its governing board, for your anticipated cooperation, understanding, and agreement on all of those aforementioned items.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mike Duff, Senior Director of Business Development for ReWorld Corporation, formerly Covanta. We're the national leader in sustainable waste solutions, and in our portfolio, we operate and maintain 33 waste energy facilities across the nation. I want to say thank you very much to the board and the courage of what you've done over the years. This is a gem, like I thought I heard somebody say earlier, and it's sad to hear that Dan's hanging up his cleats. He's been the real ambassador for the industry, and we want to thank you very much on behalf of ReWorld. It's no secret that waste energy is a proven safe and reliable technology. Right, highly regulated. It certainly helps in recycling and landfill diversions. It's no secret, right? And what happens, with the materials that can't be recycled, we're able to, process those and turn those into renewable energy. A couple of things that that I've noticed with what you have done, and in all transparency as an authority, has really educated the public and the board. It's a testament to your professionalism. You can go to the website. You can really see the facts there if you have any questions. It's not secondhand. It comes from the EPA and real data solutions. So I think that's a big thing. Here's a couple of things. I'm a lifelong Florida resident, right? And we have hurricanes here. I live in Lee County, and having a waste energy facility there that with that infrastructure in a natural disaster pays dividends. I mean, when you have power lines down, people want to get rid of their waste. That backstop of energy and a place for the staff to go and to provide a place for get the garbage off the street quickly and efficiently. It was very big. It's huge. And then secondly, I'd like to talk about the the economic engine, right? And this place has been around 34 years, right? I've had an honor of being involved with it for 7 now. We have over 200 people that work at this site, right, with deep roots in this community and make a difference day in and day out. And that's something big. And I want to make sure we take that into consideration, that you know, the economic engine, not just the tax revenues, but the infrastructure and the folks that do something that very little people in the county of Palm Beach know about. So I want to say thank you very much on behalf of ReWorld.
We have John McBurney and Ashley Kate.
Good afternoon. My name's John McBurney, and I represent a company called Kennedy Via Nova, but I'm also speaking on behalf of the Waste to Energy as a whole. And I'd like to thank Chair Baxter, Mayor Marino, Director Pelowitz, the members of the board, Councilor Jones, and members of the staff for allowing all of us to speak today and address the issue. First, I'm familiar with some of the planning that's been done with the project you're looking at now, and I think it's very impressive, the work that you've done in the research and the background planning and organization. I've been working in this industry for 44 and a half years, and this is the best thought out, best organized, and best planned project that I've seen. In looking at waste energy projects as a whole, you know, the first plant, commercially successful plant, was built in the U.S. It started operation in 1975. There's been a lot of progress in the design and the technologies that are incorporated in these facilities. And trying to compare a waste energy plant today to one that was built 50 years ago is a lot like comparing today's Lexus to Grandpa's Oldsmobile from 1966. There's a lot of similar features with tires and engine, steering wheel, and things like that. But the technologies have been significantly improved and advanced over time, where the plants that we're operating today, we've reduced emissions by about 99% compared to where we were 30, 35 years ago. Now, the plants that my company has built on an EPC basis typically are in Europe and Australia. And, you know, in Europe, we're talking about a population of about 450 million people. Here in the U.S., I think we're around 350 million. In the U.S., we have 63 operating waste energy plants. In Europe, there's over 520. And they've been more accepting of the technologies. In fact, you see waste energy facilities in downtown areas in European cities. And they're as common as a Chick-fil-A or a CR Chicks or a Taco Bell. I mean, they're everywhere. And they're very much accepted by the populations. But that doesn't mean there isn't pushback and there isn't concern. And, you know, in a lot of meetings, just like this one, people come forward and express their worry. If you look on the SWA website, you'll see copies of reports that have been done looking at the safety and environmental friendliness of these facilities in Europe and other countries. And you'll see time and time again, people are looking for a problem with these plants, but they can never draw one-to-one correspondence between living near a waste energy plant and adverse impacts on human health. So you've got that benefit, and also the aesthetics of the plants that we're building today are so much better. You know, again, they're in city centers and very much accepted by the community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Ashley Cork, and I'm Vice President of Waste to Energy for FCC Environmental Services. And I'd like to be up here today to advocate for the renewal and replacement of REF 1 and for the Waste to Energy technology. As we've heard, Waste to Energy is the safest, most efficient and sustainable treatment of non-recyclable solid waste for large-scale recovery options which can be combined with other innovative technologies such as composting, such as MRFs and recycling facilities to manage the county's waste. Without the renewal of REF 1, that's going to put around about 800,000 tonnes into landfill, to which is a finite solution. Landfill has a finite life, one of which takes up large portions of land, which cannot then be reutilised without great cost and expense. In our experience, we have facilities which are over 50 years old globally, and with the correct science and engineering, these facilities can be an infinite resource recovery. And with that, they can have innovative solutions whereby we can increase the level of diligence on emissions that are produced from the facilities. Waste to energy provides us an ability to look towards a circular economy. So a lot of people do not realize how a waste to energy can do that. We have a resource that is collected by haulers at the households. That waste has an energy content in it. That energy content is transferred and turned into electrical energy. We can then charge the vehicles that are collecting the waste with that. We can then use that for the communities, for projects that then go and collect the waste from their house, creating a little circular economy from that waste to energy, which benefits the community in terms of the vehicles that are being used for the collections. They're quiet, they're environmentally friendly. I think I just wanted to end on a real world example which sort of talks around the emissions of a waste to energy. One of the comparisons I've used is fireworks. Fireworks are deemed safe for the public. We use them often, probably sometimes on a monthly basis in our gardens, in communities. Those fireworks produce the same emissions that come from a waste to energy facility. They are safe for the public to use. Now, for an example, the London firework display on New Year's Eve would take a waste to energy facility 12 years to produce those same emissions that are deemed safe for the public. I just wanted to end on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That was the last card.
So we have a presentation for you. I just would like to take the opportunity to address some of the things that have been said earlier on before we get into the presentation. The first thing I want to note is that, and we have the evidence on our website, there is absolutely zero evidence that these waste energy plants or any other plants have had any negative impact on public health. These modern plants are very safe. They're highly regulated. You'll often hear comparisons to industrial sources. The important thing to note when you hear someone comparing a waste energy facility to other industrial sources is industrial sources are only a small subset of the sources of pollution. The industrial sources are the large regulated sources. In Palm Beach County, we're not an industrial county. So when you look at industrial sources in Palm Beach County, you're looking at us, of course. You're looking at the 2 FPL facilities. You're looking at probably the Okie-Lana cogeneration plant. And that's about it. And so, you know, if you're making a comparison to an industrial area, it's a valid comparison. But I think we're going to demonstrate here that these waste energy facilities are not a predominant source of pollution in Palm Beach County. And I do want to echo a little bit as to what was said about fireworks. Most people don't realize, but a small wildfire will put out more particulate into the air than Ref 2 will do in a year. And so we take things for granted that about waste energy when you look at it and say it's got to stack, so it's got to be the significant producer. The reality is when a field is burning, it's uncontrolled emissions. And so we're going to show you some evidence on that. And the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is about this concept of landfilling. We have 1,600 acres out west. It's west of the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. Back after 2000, we went to the board and as staff, and we asked for authorization to move forward with permitting. The board was not in favor of developing that site at the time, and so we did not move forward with permitting on that site. The board directed us to look at alternative sites, and so we went on the street for the request for expressions of interest for alternative landfill sites. 3 sites were provided. One was on 880, one was in the general vicinity of the Okie-Lana power plant down south of South Bay, and the other one was on 80. All 3 sites were viable. We did fatal flaw analysis on them. They all could have been developed, but the community, the environmental community, the federal entities, whether it was the Fish and Wildlife Service or the Loxahatchee Refuge folks, Corps of Engineer, all the environmental groups, including the Sierra Club locally, were opposed to putting a landfill out in the Everglades agricultural area. As a result of that, the board made the decision, directed staff to accelerate the development of the expansion of waste energy in Palm Beach County. And that resulted in the development of Renewable Energy Facility number 2. They asked us to accelerate it. We were able to accelerate it from 2017 to 2015 to get that capacity online. It ultimately extended the life of our landfill beyond 2030 out to right now is 2057. And if we continue down this path with the new facility, we're likely going to be beyond 2060. So our objective is and has always been to preserve the valuable landfill space we have. Back to landfill. There was no one who supported a landfill out west. There was only one group that opposed REF 2. That was the Sierra Club. Sierra Club was the only group that opposed the landfill and opposed the waste energy plant, which leads you to the question is, then what do you do? That's the question. And so we have been advocates of waste energy here in Palm Beach County for a very long time. We have a long track record of operating these facilities safely and effectively and cost effectively, by the way. Our rates are very stable and very low. And so going into this presentation, I just wanted to cover a couple of those things that came to mind when listening to others. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Romana.
All right. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Mayor, and members of the board. So this is a continuation of the workshop from last October. So what I have on the agenda today is to provide you a recap of the decisions made at the last meeting and the activities that we undertook since then, and also provide an update on the site considerations. And finally, we'll close out with the cost summary and financial assessment rates and what's here before the board for your decision. So this is a recap of the board decisions from last October. As you can see, we presented 3 sites in here to the north, and the REF 1 site, and also one to the south. And the board directed us to look at the north site and come back and report with any fatal flaw analysis and if there are any issues there. And what the board also did at that meeting is to take the southern option off the table because it's too constrained and the site is too tight. And in expanding that would encroach the site into the conservation area. So that the decision was made to remove that. And what the board also asked us to do is to look at extending the life of REF 1 by 5 years. Remember, REF 1's operating contract expires in 29. So we were asked to look at that, and we have an analysis that shows what it takes. And the board was also not supportive of landfilling or exporting waste permanently. And also asked us to look at the assessment rates and smooth out the rates. There are a couple of spikes in the 2030s, early 2030s, and we did that. And also directed us to look at making the existing REF 1 site available for any future use. Benefits of waste energy. Waste energy reduces the volume of waste by up to 90%, which means it preserves the landfill capacity, so we don't have to site a new landfill in the near future. And waste to energy facilities also recover aggregates and metals, which would otherwise be entombed in the landfill. We cannot recover once it goes to the landfill.
Excuse me, Romana, do you have the slide deck working?
It's not advancing.
It's on his, but not up
No, it's not advancing there.
It is advancing there.
So it's
Close it down and reopen it. It's going to be the best option. Can you? Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
okay.
And now we're there. Got it.
All right. Sorry about that.
Mayor Marino.
Put my light on. We actually all have the presentation, and I'm sure that we have all read through it. And I think if we ask our questions, we could probably skip the presentation and you can answer the questions. So since I have my light on and I'm going to go first. So
Please do.
I know we talked about the north location, and the reason we're not picking the north location was because there were just too many no's to that. And so, and there were too many no's to the south location, which leaves us where Ref 1 is now. And in doing so, where we asked you to extend the life of Ref 1, now we're going to say to you, what are our alternatives while we tear down Ref 1, and where do we put what was ever going to go in Ref 1? Where are we going to put it? And the build of Ref 1 to, what are we going to call the new one? Ref 3? Or are we calling it Ref 1 replacement?
We've settled on Ref 1R because Ref 3 leads people to believe there's going to be 3 plants.
Okay. So Ref 1R, so I'll just call it Ref 1 again, will be in the same place. And so for those in the community that are saying we're going to move it, it's going to be closer to different communities, all of that is a fallacy. It's a facility that's already here. It's going to go in the same facility. It is going to be a facility that is 1989 was when it was built, and then it was refurbished. We're going to be using technology that is way ahead of what we're using. So whatever we were doing in the way of what was going into the air, particulates and whatnot, I'm not a scientist, I don't play one on TV, is actually going to decrease because of the new technology. So our footprint is going to, even our ecological footprint is going to be smaller. For those that say zero waste, that'll never happen. It's an impossibility. It's like Vision Zero for the TPA. It's an impossibility. We would love it, but it's not going to happen. We generate waste in more ways than we even know. So I wish people would stop saying that, because it's not going to happen. So the first question is, because I'm kind of not rambling, I'm actually making points. First question is, where is the waste going to go when the plant is closed while we're building the new one?
Correct. So Ref 1 today processes about 800,000 tons approximate. Okay. Of the 800,000, this is a refuse-derived fuel plant. Not everything goes in as processed. And so there's 250,000 tons of residue. When they prepare the fuel for the plant, about 250,000 tons you recover on the back end that cannot be processed, which goes to the landfill. And there's also approximately 120,000 tons of ash, whatever is processed, that goes to the landfill. So when you combine this, anywhere between 350 and 370,000 tons will go to the landfill. And that would continue to go to the landfill. And whatever is remaining, roughly, let's say 500,000, would be shipped off-site.
Okay, so we're already moving items to our landfill now. So the time at which our landfill would expire is not going to change with Ref 1 closing.
It's not. So one of the slides we have in here is, we mentioned that, whatever quantity is going there today, we will maintain the same quantities, the tonnages. And whatever is in excess of that will be diverted to an off-site landfill.
Excuse me, is technology working yet? Can you pull that slide up, or is it still not advancing?
Yeah, it's working. So this is a capacity model that we did, which kind of helps, where we go with the planning. So the landfill was permitted to have about 53 million cubic yards of capacity. To date, we've depleted about 28 million cubic yards. So what's remaining is 25 million in the landfill. So this is the total waste in Palm Beach County as it sits today, about 1.5 million tons of garbage and about 500,000 tons of vegetation. And Ref 2 has 1 million tons capacity. And Ref 1 has about 800,000 tons capacity. So if we extend the O&M contract the depletion date is 2034. And if we add 1 million tons per year capacity starting in 2034, which is Ref 1R, the landfill depletion happens in 2064. So you would ship everything offsite in 2064. Okay, in the meantime, what's landfill here is this thin slice right there, and it starts in here about 2042. And that's what's landfill onsite. And this model shows what if it doesn't, right? It's 1 million ton capacity here for Ref 2. Ref 1 capacity ends in 29. And then we'll be landfilling all this. And that's roughly about 500,000 tons a year. And then when that happens, the depletion is 2044. So you can see from here, you lose 20 years of landfill capacity.
Okay.
And how we model this, let me... So, I mean, this one shows like the impacts, we're not going to import any waste from Palm Beach, outside Palm Beach County, so that's that. Okay, this is the slide that shows the diversion, 5 years, and the cost in here is based on 500,000 tons going outside Palm Beach County and about 300,000 tons to our landfill.
Right, you'll see in the bottom right there, the 270 million was the
Yep.
cost of export.
Yep. Now since you're on the construction slide, how does this get paid for? Because there's lots of rumors out there, and I'd really like clarification on how this will get paid for.
Okay.
No, we've done a financial analysis. Dan's available to present that.
So flip to the, let's start at the debt service slide. So this is our existing debt service that we have on the books right now. Our final payment on the existing debt is 10/1/2031. So these are the remaining maturities on the debt that's currently outstanding. Next. And this is depicted in a chart where those two are, and it's our Series 2019 bonds. They're sitting out here, 71 and 72 million. So this is, we're talking about shutting down Ref 1 and 29, and then proceeding with the construction of the new facility, the demolition and the construction. Next slide. So we looked at two locations. We looked at the northern location and the existing Ref 1 location. For the northern location, we're extending Ref 1 through 2034. You've got capital costs, bond proceeds of $1.54 billion. I'm using 3.5% interest right now for tax-exempt debt. If it went up 0.5%, that'd be another $5 million a year in debt service. Single-family assessment rate in 2035 is about $263. The annual debt service about $108 million, and debt service coverage would be in excess of 1.5. The rating agencies like our debt service coverage to be over 1.3. So that's basically the ratio of net revenue to debt service. So the debt service coverage is healthy. Next. This shows you on the northern location, and we're going to go to the other location too. This shows you the rate projections into the future if we build this facility on the northern location. So what you're seeing there in 2033, 34, 32, 33, 34, that's the impact of the continuing cost of operating Ref 1, which is much higher in the renewal period because we've got to put in about $90 million, $80, $90 million in improvements in the facility to get it to run the extra 5 years. You see this here. What I want you to focus on is that blue line. That blue line starts with what our current rate is at $205 a single-family home. And you see it goes up to $263 a single-family home once Ref 1 rebuilt, when the new facility comes online. This in the middle shows what we need to mitigate. And I don't want you to worry about that so much because that's why we are generating reserves, and that's why the board directed us last year at the meeting to plan for the future, to not use reserves to buy down rates in the interim period, to generate those extra resources so that we can mitigate this. There are a lot of ways to deal with this. One way is we could early pay portions of those 2030 and 2031 principal repayments. That's one way to do it. Another way you could do it is you could basically refund that through the new bond issue and restructure it. The other thing I want to point out is this new debt in here. The assumption is made based on level annual debt payments, like a car payment, where you'd pay the same amount every year. Over time, the principal portion is larger and the interest portion falls. But you can always structure the debt in different ways to take those early principal payments and spread them out in future years, which is what we always do. You can always do that, restructure that. But we have now about $250 million in reserves. Our intent is to continue to grow those reserves through this period. And what we would ask the board is, if we move down this path, is to focus on hitting targets for our single family rates and generating the funds to match that blue line, and not to go the dips below those lines. And that is a way of planning for the future. So my point here is exactly what we did with REF 2. REF 2 was a $700 million project, brought online on time and under budget. We had the same types of issues. We paid off debt early. We defeased debt by putting funds into escrow. And then we worked with our underwriter in structuring the new debt to wrap around the existing without creating any significant rate spikes. So these rates, if you look at them long term, remain below what they would be if we just increased our rates at the rate of inflation every year going back a long time. And so this is something that's easily managed. We have a great reputation in the debt market. Institutions, insurance companies, mutual funds, all of those are interested in. I have no doubt that if we continue on the path we're on, that we should have no issue issuing those bonds in future years. Why don't we flip to the other site, the other location?
Real quick, Dan.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores has a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you finish this presentation regarding the sites, and then I'll ask my questions? Is that okay?
Oh, sure. So with the existing REF 1 site on the existing location, REF 1 would have to be shut down in 2029. The plan, like Ramona said, is to landfill some of that waste here on this landfill, basically the equivalent to what we would have landfilled anyhow with the residues, and then to ship the balance to a private landfill outside the county. Obviously, that could be the Okeechobee landfill, or it could be the Jed landfill, potentially up in St. Cloud. We would put that on the street, get the best prices, and then for a 5-year period, that's the way it would be managed. We can determine which waste. We can maximize the shipment of the putrescible, the garbage, offsite, so that what we're putting in the landfill is less organic. So we have the ability to do that. And this is what we're looking at, the diversion of 500 to 600,000 tons per year, and that's where that cost comes in. Capital cost, a little bit less, $1.46 billion, based on this assumption. Keeping in mind, this assumes a 3,000 ton a day facility. The sizing decision is still to come, ultimately. That's the largest it would be. So it's possible that we may come back at something smaller than that, something between 2,000 and 3,000 tons a day, balanced to what our future needs are. But moving forward, annual debt service about $103 million. Next slide. Again, similar depiction, similar graph. The costs are, it is less expensive overall this way. However, again, just focus on the straight line and not the bump. Same argument applies. These rates are consistent, straight line. They're certainly manageable. Obviously, that's up to your discretion as to what you believe is acceptable. But so that's next slide. And so that's the end of the financial projections. And with that, Commissioner Flores had a question.
Mayor Marino can finish.
Actually, I just do want to finish. From all the folks that are here, thank you very much for your input. From the folks that aren't from Iron Horse, because you're like ground zero. And thank you for the support of this. You are the closest community to this. Thank you for reaching out to my office. I'm sure you also reached out to Commissioner Weiss's office and he's your district commissioner. And And thank you to staff for doing the presentation. I know there are several other presentations that have been done, so I do. This is not, we are definitely not in a vacuum with this. We have reached out to as many possible groups as possible to do the presentation, and I thank staff for that because it's important. People do need to know what we're doing. But again, we are the Solid Waste Authority. This is where we have been for many years. We're not adding a new plant. We're not going further north. We're not getting closer to, well, once we vote on this, I should say, we aren't getting any closer to Iron Horse or to PGA National or to any of the communities to the north. We're staying exactly where we are. We were here first. We were here first, and folks built around us. So we can't say that we are the problem. We were here first. We have been good stewards of the land around us. We have been good stewards of the environmental land around us. We have some fabulous parks right around the area. So I believe that will continue to happen because that's who we are. So I'm not going to make the motion, but I will support it because I'm sure we have other commissioners. I'll be happy to make the motion later, but
Commissioner Flores has some questions.
I'm good. Thank you.
So, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the information. Thank you for spending time with me, for educating me and catching me up to speed. It's a lot of information. And this is sort of where I stand. I am in favor of doing REF 1R, keeping it in the current location, trying to work with our neighbors. I echo the sentiments of Mayor Marino. I think we have been good stewards. We have done right by the community. And when we say that, we also have to take a look at it's our waste, it's our problem. I am not a fan of shipping waste outside of the county. I think it's up to us to clean up after ourselves. It shouldn't be anybody else's problem. While we're going through this transition, do we have to do that? Yes, I don't mind doing it for a time period. But I think thereafter, we have to figure out a way of doing that. So I guess part of my comments, and this is a conversation I had with Mr. Pelowitz, is that we have to also find a way of either extending the lifetime of our landfill, I should say, or acquiring more so that future boards, more land, I should say land, so that future boards have locations that could fit the parameters later on in time. Because I think future boards, not us today, will have to make a decision because 2057, it's a little further out there, but as we continue to moving forward, land is going to become harder and harder to acquire. So I think it's up to us to also, as we move forward, start identifying properties that would work with the surrounding neighborhoods to have in sort of stock so that future boards can look at mitigating what this void is going to be, because these two are only going to be able to handle a certain capacity, and then after that we have to do landfill. Unless we build another one of these, which I don't think the community is going to be too excited about. But we have to get creative, and I think it behooves